All right, we're back on the project today. His old cowl, or we got a different cowl. After we stripped his old one down, it had a whole lot of Bondo on it. You can see, if I can get the light right, there must have been like a tack or something bolted to the cowl. They welded it up and they did a pretty horrendous job on it. But so that's all warped. It's got a dent right here, which, see if I can hold this right. But anyways, the cowl, the back edge of the cowl dips way down right here because of it. And then it's dented here, and there's a huge crease all the way down here. So I asked him, well, I don't know, I mean, we can fix it, but it might just be cheaper to replace it. So he found this one probably on Marketplace, but this one was in really good shape. It's got old nasty paint on it. It's kind of starting to rust. I'm going to DA what I can, and then we'll sandblast what I don't feel like doing. So, and then for his fender, so there was a crack right across here. I welded that up. And then there was a crack right here, so I welded that up. We did the patch right here. Patch turned out pretty good. Anytime I do a patch afterwards, I just hit it with the first coat of Duraglass. Here's what it looked like when I cut it out. I don't really know why. It's just kind of what I was taught. And I don't know, it doesn't hurt. Most of it's gonna get sanded off anyways. And then I remade this bracket because the old one was all rusted out. And for his trunk lid, I started blocking it out. I had some leftover Duraglass, so I just used that for a dent because why not? But looking at this trunk lid, I'm gonna put you guys here in my chintzy, really wobbly camera holder. We'll see if I can get it so it's not rocking too much. I don't want to make you guys dizzy. But you can see all the different low spots on it. And this spot and this spot correlate with where the skin is on the bottom. This body line has a dent going right through it. I'm assuming that Matt at one point had the trunk lid upside down. With these kinds of stands, these foam stands, you really should, if you flip the trunk lid over, you should have the stands going this way. And I think Matt had the stand going this way because it caved in the body line. But a lot of these like little low spots, you can kind of feel them, kind of not. When you want to sand these kinds of things out, then you don't just keep hogging right over the thing. Kind of feather out the edges around it. Right? You kind of sand the area around it and then kind of work your way in, and that's how you'll sand that out. I'm using 120 grit and it's getting kind of clogged up here because I've been using it for a while. But and this one might not sand out because you can feel it pretty good. Yeah, we got it starting to come out. So that's how you block these, okay? And then you change your pattern, right? So you go this way when you're blocking the whole thing over, and then come over and then start blocking it this way. I don't really necessarily like holding my block like this and sanding this way. I tend to kind of turn it just a little bit and sand it. I don't think it really makes a difference, but I feel like when you're going this way, then the block can have a tendency to kind of do this over stuff. Like, it might go in a dent and out of a dent. If you have it like this and you're going across, then it won't really want to tip, if that makes any sense. So we're just going to keep blocking on this. I got to wait for the Duraglass to dry, so while the Duraglass is drying, we're working on the trunk lid. Try to block most of this little stuff out. And then we can't really get behind this. I won't really be able to, I can't really get behind it. I mean, to do it the right way, I would want to take the skin off. And then I could hammer and dolly everything out and then put the skin back on. And I don't think Matt's going to want to pay me to do that because that's a lot of work. So that's kind of where you know, there is a right and a wrong way, but there's also kind of a medium way. You can't, I mean, it's not necessarily cutting corners as long as you're doing it, you're doing each of the steps properly. So that's kind of where we're at right now. All right, so now, excuse, I got the air compressor running in the background, so hopefully you guys can hear this okay. So I got it all blocked out. This one spot I was working on is almost gone. I don't even know if you guys can really see it. So I started working on it, sanded out here, and sanded over here. If you break through to the metal, it's not the end of the world, guys. I mean, you're just finding the high spots, kind of finding the low spots. You can kind of see how it's wanting to bend up like this. So it's just a little teeny tiny dent that kind of pushed out. This is going to need some mud. Let's see here. This is bare metal. This guy could just use a little bit of slime. We'll have to mud this because it's just too much, too deep. This little guy here, we can just slime. And then as we go across the front, this is all good. I mean, I broke through in a couple spots. This will need a little bit of slime. I'll just slime it after this. This guy will just need well, that guy's gonna need a little bit of mud. That guy, we can slime. I'll probably just mud it anyway though. That'll need some mud. So anyways, you can see now after blocking, like this will just get slime. Let's see here. This will get slime. That'll fill with primer. This will get mudded all up and through here because of that crease. And then that'll get slime. This spot here will fill with primer. And this spot will fill with primer. So it's gonna go pretty quick. But now what I'll do is I'll take a pencil and I'll outline this stuff. See if I can get a better angle here so you guys can see it. Yeah, so I'll get a pencil out and I'll circle kind of outside of these. And then I'm gonna come back in with a DA and sand these. So then I'll leave the pencil marks so I know where the dents are that I need to fix. Because otherwise if you just go and sand it all, then it all looks the same and you can't tell. Then you're sitting there rubbing your hand over it, trying to find the low spots. Now I got a skin coat of body filler on them spots. And that was it for the fender. I got a thin coat on this trim piece, and on this, the fender, not the fender flare. Dang it, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, I said it earlier. And then on the trunk lid, I got thin coats of Bondo everywhere where it needs it. Now, you don't necessarily want to just mound it and then just grind it off. One, you're wasting product, and two, what can happen is if you mount it too high, then as you're sanding it, you're not really sanding it down, you're just kind of rounding it over, and then you'll end up on the edges, you'll sand through to the bare metal, and then you're gonna run your hand across it and you're like, oh, it doesn't feel right. It feels low on here and here. Well, it feels low there because you sand it down to the bare metal, so the primer, you sand it down into the primer so it feels like it's coming down, and then it's going back uphill over your mound of Bondo. So you can always add more, guys. You can just do a thin coat, sand it. If you need another thin coat, you can do another thin coat, okay? Okay, so I got the the mud slimed. I kind of jumped the gun here. I should have done more recording on this. I got the mud down. I blocked it with 80 grit, then 120, and then 180. And now I'm starting to spread some slime. So this side of the hood looked like that, where, you know, I had a spot of filler here and then I had a spot of filler here. But you don't want to just do those. It's easier to blocking to just do a coat over all of it. So there's a couple little dings that this stuff will fill, so I'm just going to keep doing a whole coat, and I'll do a whole coat right here. I'm basically going to skim the whole trunk lid. If you're ever going to do like a show car, something that you want flawless, then you slime the whole thing, because there's stamping flaws like on the quarter. You won't be able to see it, I don't think, but there's a little indent right here, just a little stamping flaw. I mean, once it's painted, you won't notice it. The only reason I know it's there is because I put the quarter on. But there's just, especially if you look at new cars, you look at new cars that are made out of real thin sheet metal, they have really bad stamping flaws, especially like around door handles and stuff like that. So that's the next step, is to just slime the whole thing. Okay, so I got the fender ready for primer. We got all the little spots slimed up. And then I got the back, the rear panel ready, so I'll prime that. We got a couple miscellaneous Cadillac parts. This is the trim for the grille. And then I got the trunk lid. That's all ready to go. It looks like a lot, but this is just a very, very thin coat of slime. I could probably keep blocking and get some more of it down, but I mean, it's probably less than a millimeter thick. I mean, it's pretty close. You can see how it's all transparent, poking through. So just one quick skim coat over the whole thing just to flatten it out. But now we're ready for primer. The fender's nice and straight and smooth now. We did the back here. We filled in, there was a spot here for like a rubber bump stop, and whoever owned the car before had a fiberglass trunk lid and drilled through it and just mangled it all up, so we just flattened it out and welded it, because this is a bump stop right here, so we don't really need 4 bump stops, especially being that this is just a race car. But we got this line nice and straight. And then we got these couple Cadillac parts. And the trunk lid. Trunk lid ate up a lot of primer. I mean, I still did just 3 coats on it, but it's just so much surface area. So there you have it, guys. We're in primer. Next step, put the other fender on. We can flip the trunk lid over. Well, we can block this, flip it over, scuff the backside, get it ready to jam. We'll probably get the doors ready to jam. And then we'll be working on the hood. I want to get the hood on here, and then I gotta get this cowl buttoned up. I'm gonna sandblast the ribs, get it epoxied, mount that, because he is using this style of hinge for the hood, so we got to drill some holes in the cowl, and then the hood will hinge on this. So there we go, boys. Till next time, take care.